Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be listening to this at this time. I wish you well, and I also want to thank you for listening to this discussion on a taboo topic of sexual abuse of children. For this video, I will be focusing on 6 reasons children don't disclose sexual abuse. But before I go into the 6th reason, I want us to take a moment and imagine a couple and imagine that they just gave birth to this beautiful, beautiful, adorable baby girl. It could be girl or boy. I'm focusing on girls because girls get abused sexually the most. But it could be either gender. Imagine this little girl is surrounded by love. You know, her parents are in the hospital welcoming her, grandparents, aunt, uncle, cousins, everybody's there. And the baby comes home and everybody is just amazed and in love with this delightful little girl. And imagine her first birthday and you see the picture. The picture is this just beautiful little girl. And you can see in her eyes, it's shining with love, playfulness, and you can tell that she is being loved and she's being cared for. And you look at the background, you see parents, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, and everybody's there to celebrate the first birthday. And then you look at the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh birthday. And those pictures are all shining with playfulness, innocence, and just joy. You see that in her eyes. And again, the same people in the background, the family, extended family, loved ones who are there to celebrate and continue to nurture and support this little girl so she can grow up to do well and be healthy and strong. And then you take a look at her 8th birthday picture. This picture looks different. Everyone in the picture is the same, extended family, everybody showering love on her. But when you look at this little girl, her eyes have lost that playfulness, it's lost that joyful life. It's lost that childhood innocence. Something's wrong. Although she has a smile on her face, but if you look deeper in her eyes, you'll see confusion, denial, fear, shame, a lot of self-blame, and you can see that she's maybe have become a little adult trying to protect her family. So then we ask ourselves this question: what's changed from birth to 7, and what's changed in this picture of her 8th birthday? And let's imagine that in this picture, one night her grandfather went to tuck her in. And this grandfather has lived with the family since she was born. And this is the grandfather who helps her with her homework, who takes her to the park, and who gives her a snack, who loves on her. But this night was different. This night, his hand touched her private parts. And the first reaction is confusion and shock and denial and shame. All these feelings kicked in. And imagine that it didn't stop at that first night. It progressed. And the picture we're looking at is maybe a year or maybe a little bit under a year of sexual abuse by her grandfather. It can be her grandfather, it could be her father, it could be her mother, it could be her aunts and uncles, it could be a cousin, it could be extended family members, it could also be close family friend. This is somebody that this child has depended on to trust, to protect, and to love. And all of a sudden, according in her imagination and her belief system, something is different and it happens so rapidly. And what makes it even harder is that, at night, the grandfather is touching her in a way that is not okay. But during the day, he's doing the same thing he usually does. He's loving on her. He's taking her to school. He's picking her up. He's helping her with her homework. But then at night, somebody else shows up. And there's a different side of grandpa that now is taking sexual advantage of this little girl. So with this in mind, I want us to look at these 6 reasons why it's so hard and if not impossible for a child to tell. There are children that do tell, but for the most part, they don't. So the first thing I want us to look at is confusion. When grandfather touched that little girl, the first feeling she felt is this sense of like, what is going on? Because the person who's touching her is somebody she loves and trusts. So confusion is a normal reaction, and it remains because they don't know what to do. The second feeling a child feels is denial. This is a way for the brain to protect that child from experiencing the severity of the harm. It allows them to continue to see their abuser as a protector. And this is a coping mechanism. This is how the brain helps them. There are also other reasons why children deny this has happened. One of the most significant reasons is that they really don't want to face the pain, the fear, the shame that comes with admitting that they are being sexually abused by somebody that they love, somebody that they adore. So because of this, they continue with confusion. Now denial is added on. And then the third reason is fear. The perpetrator, the abuser may have threatened them. And because abuse most often happens in secret or at night or when nobody's around, they understand that they cannot share this with anyone. And another reason they're afraid is that they believe that nobody's going to believe them. And this fear is important because most countries, most cultures blames the victim. So they understand that if they share, they're the one who's going to be blamed. So they keep quiet because they're afraid. They are also afraid of the consequences once the secret is out. So they're not just afraid that nobody's going to believe them. They're also afraid that what's going to happen to this person that's hurting me that I love. I don't want nothing bad to happen to them either. So this is a second reason they hold on to this secret so tightly. And with that, now you have a child who is confused and in denial and now afraid. And then another reason why children don't talk about sexual abuse is shame. This is another common and expected feeling when a child body is violated, abused, and used for adult sexual pleasure. That child is ashamed. They understand. They feel all the feelings that shame brings on. They feel helpless because they feel humiliated. They feel so bad and dirty, damaged, corrupted. And with all these feelings, sadness kicks in, or what we call depression, and this stays with them. So now you have a child who barely can take care of herself, which she shouldn't. It's the adult's responsibility to help them. Now this child has all these adult feelings: fear, denial, confusion. And this combination of feelings for a child or a teenager to navigate to is difficult. It's impossible for them to figure out what to do without adult support. The other reason that they don't disclose is that self-blame. So children tend to blame themselves for the abuse they suffer, especially when it's a family member who is doing the harm. Sexual abuse is harmful. It leaves lasting and often permanent damage. Children want to feel accepted by their parents, and because of this, they will make up all kinds of excuses to protect their parents' behavior, even if that behavior is as bad as sexual abuse. Most children blame themselves because they believe they're the one causing the problem. Another reason children don't disclose is because they want to protect the person that's abusing them, because this person is family. This person have nurtured and groomed that relationship for many years. And they don't want to get that person in trouble because they still love that person. They still care for them and want them to not get in trouble. So the child takes on the blame that's should have never been theirs. But they take on the responsibility to keep the family together. They take on the responsibility to protect the perpetrator. They take on the responsibility of all the pain they're suffering, and they keep quiet. We have also to understand that a child's brain is not developed enough for them to hold that their loved one is good and bad at the same time. They have to choose one. So they choose that the person harming them is not bad. To complete this conversation, I want us to really pause and accept this new reality that without our protection and guidance, a child will continue to keep secret. They will protect the abuser. They will blame themselves. They will feel shameful, fear, denial, and confusion. Because this is the best a child can do alone. They are filled with adult feelings and responsibilities that should have never been placed on their shoulder. As adults, as parents and caregivers, we have to step up. We have to also realize that children may not and teenagers may not use words to tell us they're being abused, but they are screaming in their communication non-verbally. They are showing us and doing things to show us that they're not okay. We just have to pause, look at them closely, and pay attention and notice the change in their behavior so we can step in and help. We have to change the thinking of blaming the victim. Because the list I just went over shows that it is our responsibility to secure their safety and end sexual abuse of children. We cannot leave that up to them. They're not capable. They're not mature enough to handle that. My hope in sharing this is that we get more information and then we change the world. So, one, we stop blaming the children for the sexual abuse. 2, we start holding the perpetrators accountable. 3, let's not allow our children to be alone with people in our family or community that we know have this problem. I know that together we all have the best interest for our children. And we can do this. We can do this as a community. We can do this in a family. We can do this as a world. Again, I want to thank you for listening. And please share this so the conversation can continue, so we can make our home open to have this conversation so our children have an opportunity to not be alone, to not suffer sexual abuse silently and alone. Let's be there for them. Thank you for listening and have a blessed week.
There's a painful truth in our world we got to face. For too long we've ignored their desperate cry. Please consider the cost, another innocence that's lost. We have to speak for the children, be their voice. Be a voice for the ones with no choice, forced to live in a world they cannot change, and be a light in their darkness, a trusting hand that they can hold. Be a voice for God's God's children. Be a voice. Can you hear the voice of the innocent crying now? Rescue me from the evil all around me, and make my world as it should be, a loving home where I can grow free. Rescue me and break the silence. Be my voice. Be a voice for the ones with no choice. Forced to live in a world they cannot change. And be a light in their darkness, a trusting hand that they can hold. Be a voice for God's children. Be a voice. Be a comfort to the innocent, the pure in heart than me. Oh, we have to speak the truth. Only the truth will set them free. Set them free. Oh, be a voice for the ones with no choice. Forced to live in a world they cannot change. And be a light in their darkness, trusting hand that they can hold.
Be a voice for God's children.
Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Bring his light unto their darkness.
Be a voice.
It's never too